the key to crafting a character is just kind of looking deep within them and trying to understand what is emotionally driving them. And if it's an emotion that you can relate to personally, that's all the better. And for me, like, I really identified with this idea of like a boy who wants to belong somewhere. I think we've all felt that way. We've all felt lonely. We've all felt isolated. We've all felt like we are unable to connect with others and we don't know why. It must be this place. It must be because we're not in the right place. And if we just go to the right place and find our people, like everything will be fine. But deep down, I think when I think back to like that obsession and passion, I think also I was like, masking this desperate loneliness too of like, I want to find my people. I want to make friends. I don't feel like I'm, wanted or appreciated where I'm at, and I want to go to a place where I am. That's a very universal feeling,
Domee, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today on the Movie Podcasts.
Of course.
How is your day going so far?
Going great.
That's good. It's always amazing to speak to fellow Canadians. One of my favorite memories ever, Sandra Oh, when we spoke to her, she knew we were Canadian within 3 seconds. So I'm just curious, is there like a radar for you when you're at Pixar to find fellow Canadians when you're there?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe there's like a slight accent. I can't even describe it, but like I'll have them say something like, what's your favorite pasta?
Oh, pasta? Yeah. One of them?
Americans say pasta.
Yeah, so they say pasta or Canadian?
Yeah.
You find them right away?
Yeah.
That's funny. Something I love so much, first of all, congratulations on Elio. It's such a beautiful film. And something I love so much in all of the films that you've worked on, when you were looking at Bao, Turning Red, Elio, the relationship with the parent or guardian, in Elio's case, Tia Olga. Why is exploring that dynamic so important to you when making films?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so interested in those dynamics because I feel like oftentimes they're depicted very one-sided, either from the kid's point of view or from the parent's point of view. But I feel like in real life, in reality, it's just two sides that are miscommunicating, that don't understand each other, but they both have good reasons for feeling the way that they do. And it also kind of forces me to re-examine my own kind of past, my own childhood and teenhood, and all the fights I had with my parents to kind of look at it from another point of view and another perspective. And they're also just really, they're challenging to write, but they're very like rewarding. I feel like I understand myself a little bit more after making a movie like that. I understand my parents a little bit more too. Yeah,
it's interesting because there's no, it's not like a real antagonist. It's more of a misunderstood relationship.
Yeah, it feels more real that way. Like in real life, like, there are moments where there are black and white, like bad guys and good guys. But most of the time it's just two sides that don't understand each other.
And what I love so much about Elio as well too is that he wants to be abducted by aliens. Like he's wanting to go to find that. So when you're exploring these themes of like loneliness and adventure, like what's most important for you when you're trying to like create an iconic Pixar character, but you also want someone to be vulnerable and to want to go on this journey of discovery?
Yeah. I think the key to crafting a character is just kind of looking deep within them and trying to understand what is emotionally driving them. And if it's an emotion that you can relate to personally, that's better. That's all the better. And for me, like, I really identified with this idea of like a boy who wants to belong somewhere. I think we've all felt that way. We've all felt lonely. We've all felt isolated. We've all felt like we are unable to connect with others and we don't know why. It must be this place. It must be because we're not in the right place. And if we just go to the right place and find our people, like everything will be fine. And I remember being so obsessed with wanting to go to animation school for that reason, wanting to find my people there and doing whatever it took to get to animation school. I became so obsessed with crafting my portfolio, practicing life drawing. So that obsession and passion I really tried to infuse into the character of Elio. But deep down, I think when I think back to like that obsession and passion, I think also I was like, masking this desperate loneliness too of like, I want to find my people. I want to make friends. I don't feel like I'm, wanted or appreciated where I'm at, and I want to go to a place where I am. That's a very universal feeling,
It is. I'm so glad you brought up like your portfolio and going to school for animation. I'd love to know, what was your favorite Pixar film before you started working there, before you started studying animation, and how did your relationship with it change after you started studying animation and working at Pixar?
Ooh, my favorite Pixar film before I started Pixar. Probably Ratatouille.
Okay.
Yeah, I always love that movie because I love food. But I also love that it's about this artist, this misunderstood artist who's kind of like trying and fighting against society's expectations to be seen and to be heard. I identified with Remy not looking like what a typical chef looks like, but wanting so desperately to be part of that world. Like that, I connected with that immediately. And then after I joined Pixar, I feel like all the movies I have a deep appreciation for now. I guess no, Inside Out, I think, because I got to work on it,
Right.
and I got to see it from like kind of like the early versions to the very end, and I got to see like every iteration and path that they explored, and it opened my eye. It was my first movie that I worked on at Pixar, and it definitely opened my eyes to what the creative process actually is, which is not like, you start with a perfect script. You start with, like everything all planned out, and you as a director know exactly what you're doing every step of the way. Just kind of being able to witness Pete Docter kind of like feel his way through that movie and come up with something so brilliant. It blew my mind.
Feel pun intended, I hope, with Inside Out. I love that you mentioned Ratatouille, because the shots obviously of Bao and the food and turning red, which I just rewatched last night. I'm like, when we see May's dad cooking, it's like I just want that as a loop as my wallpaper because it's so gorgeous looking.
Yes, I love. Can I say food porn? I love food porn.
That's okay. We'll take it.
I love food porn in movies. I love food like making. I love the process of food making. I love it as a way to show like a character's love for another character too. I love getting into the nerdy details of depicting food. When we were making Bao, we even consulted with some effects artists that worked on Ratatouille, and we asked them like, "How'd you guys make the food look so delicious?" And one of them said like, the key is like extra like fat and shininess. If you make the food look extra shiny, get more of like more highlights on it, up the saturation, it'll look like way more delicious than it actually is. Yeah.
Don't watch it on an empty stomach.
Exactly.
Do not do that. Pixar is always overcoming the impossible. So I'd love to know, what seemed impossible when you started working on Elio, and how did you guys overcome that by the end of it?
Yeah. This was a challenging film because, first and foremost, it's the first time I ever jumped on a project halfway through. And I think, all of our films are challenging in different ways, I think, because our bar is so high and we're just rewriting and reworking the story up until the last minute just to make sure it is as emotional and entertaining and resonant as possible. So that is always the most challenging part is the story and feeling like you don't have enough time. But I think we all came together on this film in a really beautiful way. And it, like working on this film, I felt like Pixar was the Communiverse in some way. It was all of these like beautiful weirdos coming together with all of their different skills and knowledge, and we're all kind of like working on something that we believe in. And I'm just so proud of the film.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's some incredible shots of space in this. I'm like thinking of Interstellar, Arrival, 2001, like all these other space movies. What were your inspirations going into this, and what's the weirdest thing that's ever inspired you? Because there's some really crazy creatures in this movie.
Yeah. The whole movie's kind of a love letter to sci-fi movies. Definitely a lot of Spielberg references in there, but also some John Carpenter, some Ridley Scott. Me and Madeline Sharafian, my co-director, were huge fans of sci-fi horror as well. Contact was also a big inspiration for us. We even consulted with Jill Tarter, who is the founder of the SETI organization and the inspiration for the Jodie Foster character in Contact. And just like Carl Sagan in general, just like this, his view on space exploration and how space can be a symbol of hope and curiosity, and aspiration for humanity. It's so beautiful. And we really wanted to embody that with this movie and an hour depiction of space. Because a lot of movies do depict space in a very scary way. There's like a scary metaphor. Even aliens can be used as a metaphor for foreign invaders or whatever. But I love that our movie shows like a welcoming space, shows a kid who is excited about going into the unknown, about embracing the unknown and making connections with beings who don't look like him or even speak the same language as him.
Domee, thank you so much for your time. This is a great film, and I cannot wait for more people to watch it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.